Chapter 1. Ollie. The wind was howling, but Ollie did not worry about it. He could have seen the tree at the end of the garden lurch and bow to an unknown force, as though praying to some weather god only it could see. But he was warm and comfortable. It was pitch black outside, but Ollie had not closed his curtains. He liked to sleep with them open. The family farm was large enough to fit a suburb of city houses on it, yet most of the time, even in the emptiness and with no one around for miles, Ollie did not feel alone. He lay in bed, his body calm and ready for rest, and gazed up at the clear Australian sky. There were no city lights to hide the stars, and by bedtime the Southern Cross lay sleepily on its side, just outside his window. Ollie's pillow hugged his slightly damp head as he waited for his grandmother, Nanoo, to come and tell him a story. As a 2-year-old, unable to say Nana, he called her Nanoo, and the nickname had stuck. It suited Nanoo to have an unusual name. She was not a usual gran who sat knitting scratchy jumpers and drinking tea. She was an astronomer. She knew amazing things. She could point out all the stars and knew their names. Nanoo discovered the planet Terenza, 1 trillion light years away. It was impossible to get to, but it was there. You could see it every night. Ollie wanted to hear the story of Starchaser and Terenza, the faraway planet. Although he had heard the story often, it still warmed him the way a cup of hot chocolate did before bed. Nanoo's slippers schluff, schluff, schluffed down the hallway. Chloe, Ollie's Labrador, wagged her tail. It thumped on Ollie's bed. Every night ended to the rhythm of the schluff thump song. Chloe loved bedtime as much as Ollie. She lay at the bottom of his bed, and Nanoo patted her head while she told Ollie his bedtime story. Nanoo's bright blue eyes, spiky grey hair, and cheeky grin made her more pixie-like than human. She was healthy and fit, and her skin was tanned from her excursions to the Outback. She promised Ollie that when he turned 12, she would take him on a trip. Ollie hoped that together they would discover another planet like Terenza. Nanoo peeked into Ollie's room. "How about that story, Buster?" Ollie loved it when Nanoo called him Buster. It was her special name for him. No one else called him that. She flopped onto his bed and asked, "Where do I begin?" Long ago, in a gentle corner of the galaxy, on a tiny planet called Terenza, a little spark called Starchaser was born. He had the bluest eyes that absorbed the sky and feathery hair that curled like the sun around a sleeping cat. On Starchaser's planet, the grass was eternally green. It always looked freshly mowed and had no prickly bits in it. The sun dipped and danced, but never set, and the moon waved and winked at the sun as it bobbed across the purple horizon. In the clear water, the fish swam in a line like silver beads strung on a bracelet, then disappeared behind the rocks. Starchaser did as he pleased. There was no bedtime because the sun refused to set. He was never tired because every few hours a mischievous wind tickled his cheeks, flew up into his nose, and filled him with energy. Starchaser would breathe it in and think, what will I do next? Starchaser had a puppy, a Star-fordshire Terrier called Buddy, with golden eyes and a lopsided doggy grin. Together they lay on the floor of his roofless house and gazed up at the galaxy. There was no need for a roof because the rain on Terenza, unlike on Earth, seeped out of the ground to water the plants and wash the streets. Star people would say, "A mighty storm pushed through the ground today." There was a strong chance that the rumbling ground thunder could sweep you off your feet if you were too slow, leaping onto a waiting rain platform.